You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Albert Breer has a piece up at SI. It's the top quarterback prospects to watch ahead of the 2024 NFL Draft. And he consults with Jordan Palmer. Of course, a lot of people know Jordan Palmer played collegiately and then in the NFL for a brief time, but really is more made his name as a quarterback guru of sorts, who's worked with a ton of really elite-level quarterbacks, prepping them for the draft and in their offseason. Now, there's a couple of quarterbacks that I think everybody's keeping an eye on. Caleb Williams is at the top of this draft list. Drake May from North Carolina. Those two are who everybody's considering. Bo Nix at Oregon is getting an awful lot of pub, considering when he was at Auburn, there was just so much good and bad, high and low. It was just a roller coaster ride with him, but there's a lot of people who are high on him now, heading into his final season, taking advantage of the extra COVID year there in Oregon. After those three, they highlight Michael Pratt from Tulane, Jordan Travis from Florida State, who's a sixth-year player, Quinn Ewers, the junior from Texas, who, of course, went to Ohio State with so much fanfare, transferred to Texas, and, had some really bright moments a year ago. J.J. McCarthy from Michigan. Spencer Rattler, who at one time was a projected number one pick in the draft 2 years ago. Michael Penix at Washington, another guy taking advantage of that extra year due to COVID. Will Howard from Kansas State. Joe Milton is really an interesting prospect. And of the top dozen that they highlight, the last one they mention is Jayden Daniels from LSU. And Jordan Palmer of Jayden Daniels said he may be a little bit of a sleeping giant. At other positions, they have a lot of guys similar to Burrow's year, where it's like, because the overall team success wasn't there, you don't realize how good that guy is. And with the corner or the linebacker or the guard, if you really look at that roster, they got a chance. He goes on. And if they got a quarterback, they got a chance. And so Jayden, being as mobile as he is, he's not a guy that ever turns it over. I've just seen him grow up a lot over the last 2 years and says, I think he's poised for a monster year. When you have a monster year at a school like LSU, when you've got NFL guys on your roster, you can really climb in the draft. So again, that's what Jordan Palmer was saying about Jayden Daniels. And we've talked a lot about Jayden. We're going to see Jayden at SEC Football Media Days, and I think we've gone over and over why Daniels is a prime candidate for a huge year. A season ago with a revolving door, a turnstile on the offensive line for half the season, never really having a marquee back, some inconsistency at receiver. The fact that you're steadied now, year two with Mike Denbrock, you've got 6 of your top 7 offensive linemen returning. You've got a stable of backs now as well, with adding Logan Diggs to the mix and getting Armani Goodwin back healthy to go with the guys you already had. We've talked plenty about the receiving room and what they've added as well. There's a lot of reason to think Jayden Daniels will build upon the year he had a season ago. But what's interesting is I kind of look at this. There's an interesting contradiction, because with all the names that I just mentioned, I didn't even mention guys like Devin Leary, Brennan Armstrong, Deion Sun, Shedeur Sanders, Keaton Slovis. You realize Keaton Slovis is at BYU now? He started at USC, transferred to Pitt, now he's at BYU. He's at his third school. Cam Rising from Utah has been nothing but a winner. DJU, 5-star former number 1 quarterback, who's at Clemson. He's now at Oregon State. This is such a deep draft class. But what's so interesting about it, though, is sometimes sheer numbers in the NFL draft doesn't always play out. Like, if I look at the 2016 NFL draft, there were 15 quarterbacks taken in the 2016 NFL draft. Listen to this list of quarterbacks taken in the NFL draft that year. You had, forgive me, I lost my spot. I'm sorry. Here you go. Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Paxton Lynch, Christian Hackenberg, Jacoby Brissett. That was an audible groan from Muse over there. Cody Kessler, Connor Cook, Dak in round 4, Cardale Jones, Kevin Hogan, Nate Sudfeld, Jake Rudick, I don't remember, from Michigan. Brandon Allen, Jeff Driscoll, Brandon Doty, and that was it. You had 15 quarterbacks taken. They all stink. Dak's been good. Wentz had a moment till he got hurt. Goff has been to a Super Bowl and might actually be better in Detroit now, but let's be real what we're talking about here. By contrast, if you go look at the 2022 draft, okay, the 2022 NFL draft had only 9 quarterbacks taken. But listen to the quarterbacks that were taken in the 2022 draft. Sorry, I lost my spot again. I had this up. My apologies, y'all. I screwed that up just because of being a little sporadic. So here you go. Of the 9 quarterbacks that were taken in the 2022 NFL draft, so compare or contrast this to 2016 when there were 15. Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder is about to be a starter, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, we'll see, Bailey Zappi, who played a good bit last year for New England, Sam Howell, who's been a starter, Chris Oladokun from South Dakota State, Skylar Thompson from Kansas State, and then Brock Purdy was we all know was Mr. Relevant and was phenomenal last year as a rookie. So even though you only had 9, you had more depth. I look at this year and I go, man, you may have both. You may have numbers and depth. But as I started to say, and by the way, I think a part of that is the COVID impact. Because you've had more guys stay in school because of COVID and take advantage of the COVID year, you've had guys develop more. Like Jordan Travis, Jayden Daniels. Like Jayden Daniels would have been a 3-year college player without COVID. He had the dynamic freshman season. COVID happens. He plays just a handful of games in 2020. And then 2021 was almost like a reset. It was a disaster there at Arizona State. And then 2022, his 4th year, really mirrored his freshman year. He threw for, as a freshman, 29-43. First year at LSU, 29-13. He threw for 17 touchdowns as a freshman, 17 his first year at LSU. 2 interceptions as a freshman, 3 his first year at LSU. You see my point? Like, the seasons mirrored each other. It was almost like he had to reset his career. Well, now he's got another year to build on top of it. So, Spencer Rattler would have already been gone. You know what I mean? So, you have depth in this quarterback draft class as a result largely of COVID. But what's odd is that as deep as the NFL draft class is, this may be the worst SEC quarterback year in a decade. Our buddy Brad Crawford from 247 Sports released his quarterback ranking list today. And again, I don't care what order he's got them. I don't care at all. Just listen to the names on the list. Graham Mertz, A.J. Swan, Brady Cook, Peyton Thorne, Jalen Milroe, Connor Wegman, Jackson Dart, Will Rogers, Carson Beck, Spencer Rattler, Joe Milton, Devin Leary, Jayden Daniels, KJ Jefferson. That ain't good. So for what it's worth, he's got KJ Jefferson from Arkansas, number 1, Jayden, number 2. I would personally flip them. We've talked about that before, prior, and it's not just an LSU thing. Jayden actually has played more games than KJ and has been more productive in his career at 2 different places. That's objective fact based on what he's been able to do. You may like KJ because of his physicality. That's fine. He's a very good player. But Jayden Daniels has had the better career than KJ Jefferson. But here's the odd thing. I mentioned the worst quarterback year in a decade. I have highlighted this plenty of times. 2013, I think, is the best year for SEC quarterbacks. 2013 had Johnny Manziel, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. Aaron Murray, who when he left had set every career SEC passing record because he was a 4-year starter. A.J. McCarron, who had won back-to-back national titles in 11 and 12. You had Zach Mettenberger, Connor Shaw, who won back-to-back 11-game seasons at South Carolina. James Franklin, who got Missouri to back-to-back SEC championship games. Like, the depth at the quarterback position in Jordan Rogers at Vanderbilt, who won 9 games there. the depth at quarterback in the top tiers was incredible in 2013. And what you saw after that subsequent was a dip. Here were the quarterbacks in the SEC in 2015. You ready for this? Muse, can you, off the top of your head, to remember quarterbacks in the league in 2015?
Let's see. You had...
Let me jog your memory.
Okay.
Treon Harris at Florida. Brandon Allen.
At Arkansas, okay.
Matty Mock.
Mizzou, yeah.
Will Grier.
Kentucky, okay, yeah.
No.
No, Will Grier is
Florida.
Florida, sorry, yeah.
Swag Kelly.
Mystery Irrelevant.
Drew Lock.
Yeah.
Sean White at Auburn, along with Jeremy Johnson. They split time that year.
Oh.
Kyle Allen at Texas A&M. Dak was at Mississippi State. Grayson Lambert, the Virginia transfer, was at Georgia. Jake Coker at Bama. They won the Natty.
Yeah.
Johnny McCrary was your starter at Vanderbilt. Patrick Tolles was your starter at Kentucky. Joshua Dobbs at Tennessee. And Perry Orth at South Carolina. Friend, that was the worst quarterback year in the history of this conference. Certainly since, let me rephrase. Worst quarterback league since I've been covering this conference. The list I just read off to you for this year may challenge that. Graham Mertz, A.J. Swan, Brady Cook, Peyton Thorne, Jalen Milroe, Connor Wegman, Jackson Dart, Will Rogers, Carson Beck, Spencer Rattler, Joe Milton, Devin Leary, Jayden Daniels, K.J. Jefferson. Now, according to our friend Josh Bertuccini, K.J. is a Heisman candidate. But I think you all understand the point. The point is, with that being your list of quarterbacks in the SEC, and that could change. Guys are going to lose jobs. We know that's going to happen. Maybe Spencer Sanders ends up being the guy at Ole Miss. Maybe it's not Carson Beck at Georgia. We'll see. But my point is, there ain't a lot of meat on the bone coming back under center, which means when you are in a position like LSU is with Jayden Daniels, when you are established at quarterback with a veteran guy who's played a ton, who's seen it all, who's been in everything, the odds shift in your favor. It's a giant reason why it ain't just about, can LSU take the next step? It's like, who else is going to make that step on this list? A lot of reason, valid reason, to have LSU at or near the top of any championship prediction. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.